If you are not approaching, how are you meeting women? Online dating? Through friends? Or are you fine being single? I really appreciate all of you being so candid. It also makes me sad to see how many lonely men and women there are out there. Story 1. To be blunt, occasionally feeling lonely is a much smaller mental and financial burden than pursuing romantic relationships. Story 2. I do not approach women. I do feel lonely. I do not meet women. I do not use online dating services. I do not meet them through friends. I am not fine being single. Thank you for listening to my talk. Story 3. I don't approach women because I have been humiliated too many times before. Why would I do that again? I am not trying to harass anyone. That is why I am fine the way I am. Story 4. My high standards outshine my feelings of loneliness. I would rather be alone than have someone else make me feel lonely. Story 5. I have never approached a woman, and I do feel lonely. Lately, having some good friends seems like a more worthwhile goal than finding a girlfriend for some reason. Story 6. Well, there are two pieces. 1. I am child-free and, more importantly, I only date truly child-free women. I learned early on that they are not exactly numerous, so there is no point in me approaching random women. I am a natural introvert and, more than that, I am the best I have ever seen at entertaining myself. So it takes a really good date to entertain me more than I can myself. As for what I am doing instead, mainly online dating, but I would jump at the chance for a friend of a friend. Story 7. The number of times I have heard women around me call other men creepy for simply existing is why, if I were single, I would probably never approach a woman in a social setting. Story 8. I do not approach women because it is not easy. I have severe social anxiety. I am not an exciting person filled with charisma or topics to discuss, so women do not find much interest in me. I do feel lonely. It is difficult, but it is not easy to change that. Story 9. I don't meet them. I guess I get a little lonely every now and then. I'm about 40 now. I've never had a girlfriend. I've gone on dates, but that's it. Going from the onset of puberty at 13 to 30 years old and never being intimate with a woman before, it kind of broke me. I actually have decently high levels of testosterone, but women have never shown interest in me. So any theory that it's testosterone they care about is false. My libido and sexual desires declined about a decade ago. I still get aroused fine, but don't even masturbate anymore. Story 10. I was told that approaching women is bad. Also, I am not very attractive, having a smaller, slimmer body. However, I feel lonely all the time, especially as I approach 38. I am not meeting anyone. Story 11. I used to approach women, but the look of annoyance and disgust has been enough to stop that behavior. If God wants me to have someone in my life, He will make it happen. I am done looking and wasting my time. I do not need to be humiliated anymore. Story 12. Most people get used to it, especially after being treated poorly many times. Some men can never be alone and will tolerate anything to keep a woman around. I feel sorry for them. Story 13. I work 60 hours a week. If dating applications did not exist, I would probably be forced to go to bars and approach women organically that way. Luckily, dating applications exist, and I have had a lot of great luck with them. I am currently seeing someone and have been for about a month now. She seems great. We will see how it pans out. Story 14. Because I prefer being alone. Every time I go out to socialize or when I had a girlfriend, I always secretly wished I could just be by myself. Story 15. Just because I don't approach doesn't mean I'm not lonely. There are things like rejection sensitivity and social anxiety that can make it very difficult to approach. Personally, I don't know what my issue is. I have something in addition to those two. I have a remarkably hard time talking about anything related to my own romantic life. I mean, speaking aloud. Texting is fine. But if I open my mouth, I can't speak. I trip over my words and stop after every few to recompose my thoughts. Yesterday, I was talking to a friend. I was trying to ask him if he thought a girl likes me because of something she did and said, but I could barely get out the examples. I just couldn't and don't know why. Story 16. I just don't. I am fine being a lone wolf. I do crave affection and all the good things of a relationship, but it is too convoluted in today's society to have anything lasting and rewarding. I see no point in pursuing something where that will not be accomplished. I was married for 10 years. I know women well. I set the bar high for a reason. Also, networking through friends or church is the best way, in my opinion. Story 17. Oh, we are lonely. People are now referring to it as an epidemic. So, original poster, you are advocating approaching women? Story 18. PSSST. Come here. Let me tell you a little secret. Many of us would rather endure the pain of loneliness than marry someone who causes chaos. Nowadays, it is hard to tell which women will hurt you and then leave, and which ones will love you and stay forever. It is a big gamble. Story 19. I don't approach women because it is a toss-up between hopeful rejection or a career-ruining decision. No, guys choose not to approach women because we decide not to. We don't approach women because that is what you want. We don't approach you because just looking is enough to get us canceled or labeled a creep. Just use dating apps and hope. By the way, no, I am not fine being single. Story 20. I am lonely, but I have been through enough to know that dating, relationships, or even just trying to talk to women are not for me. Story 21. I am lonely. It is difficult, but with the trauma I have experienced and the bad luck I have had with dating, I just do not have the energy or motivation to try anymore. I am 40 years old, single, and have no children. Frankly, I cannot see how a relationship would fit into my life anymore. So, I work, practice jiu-jitsu and yoga, and am working on hiking and camping more as well. Story 22. I am miserable either way. I prefer it to be on my own terms, but those were destroyed by a girl. That way, I also avoid ruining someone's day. Story 23. I do feel lonely. That is my number one problem in life. I have lived a very traumatic life, beginning in early childhood, which has resulted in some major insecurities that make it nearly impossible for me to approach a woman. I see a therapist regularly and I am working on it. Story 24. Not going to lie, I just think that I am a piece of worthless material and that people will not genuinely love me. Therefore, I am not really putting myself out there, just staying in my comfort zone. There is no particular reason except feeling like a loser and avoiding challenges. Story 25. I don't bother approaching women because it generally ends badly for men. You muster the courage to talk to a girl. Let's assume she likes you, great. You agree to date. This is when it goes badly every single time. You take a girl on a date. Generally speaking, there's an expectation that a man needs to pay whether it goes well or not. If you continue dating, this leads to either a relationship or a breakup for two main reasons. Assuming all is going well, this girl is now a part of your life and routine. If you're a gamer, you better start thinking of new hobbies. The relationship evolves, and you either move in with each other or stay in a committed relationship. If all goes bad, you've just wasted all your time and money and feel terrible. You've been dating this girl for more than 2 years, but still managed to have some time and money left for yourself. Now she's talking about moving in or getting engaged. You're suddenly facing ultimatums. You decide to cave because you like this girl. Because you caved, she lost respect for you. You're still in this relationship, but something feels different. You decide to stick it through. You marry this girl, and life changes immediately. You need to start hosting events at your home and get to know her family and friends. 3 to 4 years have passed, you're having sex once a week if you're lucky, and somehow you have a child. She tells you she needs space and has an affair with a coworker. You find out, confront her about it. She takes no accountability and files for divorce. Congratulations. You are in a very difficult situation. You've just lost your child, 10 years of your life, and you are broke. You now have to pay child support, and your weekends are the only time you see your child. You might have read through this and thought, where did that come from? But it happens way more than you think. So much so that it has happened to 3 of my friends already. I would choose loneliness over getting hurt. It's a gamble that I am not willing to risk, just for a chance for something to work. The stakes are too high. Story 26. I do feel lonely sometimes, but honestly, There is not much chance of me getting a positive outcome from approaching random women. I know who I am, and I know the trajectory my life is on. I am not going to lie about it to impress someone else, and I doubt many, if any, women would want to be part of it. So it is, and so it will probably remain. Story 27. I don't approach women and have honestly stopped trying to meet women for the most part. Do I feel lonely? Sometimes, but not for long, and it doesn't bother me much. I think I would probably prefer to be in a relationship, but I also don't want to go through the difficulties that modern dating entails to accomplish that. I would rather stay single and keep my sanity than try to date and be miserable the whole time. Also, remember that loneliness can feel awful or be very mild. I used to feel absolutely awful about being lonely, but now it's more of a minor inconvenience. I try not to be lonely, but I can be okay with feeling a bit lonely sometimes. Story 28. My hand keeps me company and gives me a massage anytime I want. The extra cool thing is it can read my mind. Story 29. I do not have the time to have a girlfriend, so I do not approach. Making new friends is fine, but having a girlfriend is a full-time job. If I am not able to be there for her emotionally, it is pointless trying to make things work. Story 30. Online works well to the point that approaching random people and trying the odds seems like a waste of time. Also, both parties need to show equal interest, so there is less guesswork. Story 31. I don't approach, but I do feel lonely. I have been misled by women's hints before, so it is annoying that women minimize their risk by giving hints and expecting the man to do everything else. Story 32. I do feel lonely. But women have said many times that they do not want to be approached at the gym, work, grocery store, hobbies, or on any day. So I stick to online dating because, at least there, I probably will not get rejected socially or treated like a monster. Story 33. I do not approach women because I honestly do not care enough to. I do not feel lonely because I always have myself, and loving myself has been the biggest lesson of my life. It has been a major process, but definitely worth it. I also have a cat. She is very affectionate and is currently grooming herself while sitting in my lap. Sometimes she crawls under my blanket at night and cuddles up to my chest, but mostly she chooses to sleep in the crook behind my knees. Story 34. I learned to be content with my own company. If women were interested, I missed the hints. If I was interested, I would try to get to know them better but never knew how to go from there. It is not something I am ambitious about. Story 35. I see many men here who care too much about seeming creepy or being weird. If it is someone you do not know, why would you care? It is completely normal to approach someone you find attractive and think would be a good match for you. What is strange is thinking someone is strange for trying to make a human connection. Get rejected, move on and try again. You only fail at something when you quit trying. Story 36. Women are not important in my life. Most do not offer anything I value. I have a couple of male friends and good hobbies, so I am good. Story 37. I do, but I am not what women say they want anymore. I enjoy my peace, spoil my dogs, and take care of my mother. Story 38. They get used to it, but everyone feels lonely sometimes. There are worse days and better ones. So the assumption that they never feel lonely is wrong. Story 39. I am fine being single. I do not feel the need or desire to have a woman with me. I know I am not asexual nor am I aromantic. I know I can love a woman passionately, but I just do not feel the need. If it happens one day, so be it. For now, I am going through the days with my job and my hobbies. I do not need anything else. Story 40. I do feel lonely sometimes. Other times I am fine with it. I have always been single, so I am used to it, unfortunately. I do not often act on impulses. I am working on that. Usually, when I see a girl I like, it is instant and she is gone. Combine that with social awkwardness and being a quiet person in general, and you have a recipe for difficulty. When it is a girl I know, like from work or someone I see at the gym, I build it up in my head. Pretty soon, weeks have gone by, and I think, I cannot say hi now. She will wonder what took me so long. Anyway, I feel empty inside. Story 41. I approached my first girlfriend, but she initiated the kiss, hand-holding, and intimacy. After that, I never approached anyone again. My ex also asked me to kiss her the first time and asked me to be her boyfriend. My current girlfriend was the first to reach out and talk to me through an app and was the first to say she wished I kissed her. When I was single, it was by choice. I have been approached while going out, even when in a relationship, but I always refused the advances. I am not exceptionally good-looking, but I have never wanted to be with many women. I prefer longer, steady relationships. Story 42. I don't approach women because I would have to go out of my way to meet anyone. None of my friends have anyone I could potentially meet except one. This person is in a similarly unusual living situation, creating a socially magnetic repulsion, complicating interaction between two complete strangers connected by a third party. The only other options are the few women I work with. One is married, one is a lesbian, and one is currently dating someone. So they are not actually options. As for feeling lonely, I don't know. I interact with people regularly both in person and online. I have been alone for quite a while, but I have never really had a problem being by myself. The only issue with being alone was when I caught COVID-19 in 2022 and had no one to help take care of me. However, it has led me to get in better shape for the most part. Story 43. Working on myself. Feeling lonely, but if I try to approach women now, it will not end well. Trying to spend time with friends and maybe go to bars to feel carefree and fill the void. Story 44. Women approach me instead. I am not saying this to be conceited. I am just being honest, and luckily it is a godsend since I have struggled with debilitating social anxiety all my life. I have been labeled weird most of my life because of my lack of face-to-face socialization skills and difficulty reading social cues. However, being labeled handsome since puberty has been enough to get my foot in the door, where women still approach me even in my early 40s. I was recently approached by a 21-year-old woman who asked for my number, but I had to step away because of the age gap. Story 45. There is quite a difference between being alone and being lonely. I can always manage by myself without many problems. Is it sometimes lonely? Yes. Is it always? No. When I feel lonely, it is thankfully only a temporary state of mind. I do not approach much because I got rejected one too many times and chose between giving up or getting over that hurdle. On the rare occasions I dare to dip my big toe in the dating pool again, I get a swift reminder why I got out of there in the first place. Story 46. Loneliness is not a feeling I have ever experienced. I do not really understand the concept, to be honest. The idea that not having people around me should result in a bad feeling does not make much sense to me. It may be the result of a personality disorder, in which case it is probably because I was raised in an environment where people were not a reliable source of positive things. Story 47. There is a difference between being alone and being lonely. Being alone is great, but being lonely is unpleasant. I have friends and hobbies that keep me busy. I do not enjoy much socialization. Story 48. I've been married for a long time, but before I pretty much gave up on dating and was perfectly fine with it. I enjoy my own company. Then I got set up by my brother, and life took an unexpected turn. If for some reason I were to find myself single again, I would likely go back to just enjoying my own company. Story 49. I get 0 matches online, so my confidence is low. I keep seeing that if I approach women in public, I'm a creepy murderer. Even though I know exactly how to do it without being creepy because I have dated beautiful women before, it's discouraging. I feel like women are always on guard now, trying to find a woman my age, type, and in the right scenario to flirt with. How? For example, I like your shirt. That is a nice color. Where did you get it? I wish men's clothes had pretty colors like that. I suck at fashion. Maybe I will try that place out. Do you go there a lot? Maybe we can just go shopping together and have lunch. Something goofy like that, obviously gauging her responses line by line to see if I should continue. Any idea how much nerve that takes? My anxiety would be through the roof, sweating. That is why dating applications should be the best way to meet people, because you both know your intentions. It's like wearing a sign on your head. But no, it is 2025, and the applications have raised all our standards through the roof. So the top people just run through each other and keep going until they are done because having many options means there is always something better around the corner. Story 50. As much as I may be confident in various areas of my life, the one area in which I severely lack confidence is approaching and talking to women. I even know the reason why this is. Long story short, I put the majority of my life on hold to look after my elderly mother and keep financially afloat by taking every work opportunity one was able to get at the time. Women and dating were not a priority, although looking back, there were ample opportunities which I subconsciously chose to ignore or not read the signs. I am on the online dating platform, but I am lucky to get one meet per year. I admit I'm not experienced. The ones I seek do not seek me, and those who seek me I do not seek. That is not to say I am picky or go for ladies much younger than I am. Yes, I have preferences, but nothing outrageous. I have tried meeting in the wild, but either 1. I don't know how to start a conversation or break the ice. I experience self-doubt. Why would they want to talk and be with me, even though I am self-sufficient and able to hold my own? I have not given up, but I am more content and happy in my own skin and with who I am. I am blessed and grateful for every day and every opportunity to potentially meet my person. Story 51. I feel lonely. I live alone in a house. I stopped dating in my mid-20s because I got tired of constant rejection. Now, I just focus on my own interests. I am 34 years old. Story 52. Some men do not approach because they would rather be alone than feel alone with someone. Others meet people slowly through friends, fate, or simply by living a life that does not revolve around chasing love. Story 53. The thing I have always resented and hated about men and women interactions is the double standard. It doesn't help that, in my experience, I have approached women with friendly intentions, but they viewed me as creepy, weird, or uncomfortable, even though I was completely harmless. People and society naturally expect men to always be 100% creep-proof, never make awkward mistakes in interactions. Meanwhile, women rarely get labeled as creepy or weird by men. I can accept rejection. Not every woman will like me, and I won't like every woman either. It's more about the risk of making women uncomfortable in interactions and approaches. I understand that men and women have different problems and issues about dating, so there's no need for comparison. However, it is a fact that making someone of the other gender feel uncomfortable, weird, or creeped out is rarely an issue for women when interacting with men. People in society expect men to instinctively and innately know how to never be creepy or weird around women, to always be 100% creep-proof, and to never be awkward or make women uncomfortable. Some say it is part of the learning process of getting better. I know dating is generally harder for men, and many people agree with that. I'm not alone in thinking this, but people often say not to worry about comparisons. Yet, even if people never say it openly, the vibe from society is that men are expected to be smooth and never be weird or creepy around women. Men are expected to have social calibration and intuition to avoid creepy or weird behavior, and when women make social mistakes like that, it is painful and embarrassing for them. Even if men improve, they can still be haunted by painful memories of awkward interactions with women that cause them to be labeled weird, creepy, or uncomfortable, even if they ultimately get results. One guy once told me, "I totally disagree. If you fix the behaviors that make you come off as awkward, creepy, or weird around women, you won't feel the pain of past interactions anymore." That frustrated me because that guy probably never creeped a woman out in his entire life or had an awkward interaction that caused him to be labeled creepy, weird, or uncomfortable by women. For me, it's not about rejection. I know not everyone will like me, and I won't like every woman. It's more about the risk of making women uncomfortable, being perceived as weird or creepy, or accidentally violating their boundaries without being aware. People in society expect men to be born with the knowledge, social calibration, and intuition to know how to never be weird or creepy when talking or interacting with women. We are expected to just naturally get it without being taught or learning it. When men do have awkward interactions with women, they often get punished. For example, they might be kicked out of a gym or bar or confronted by the woman's friends who say, "Hey, you're creeping her out," or "What's wrong with you?" The man who made the approach naturally feels dumb and foolish. Meanwhile, women can get away with avoiding such situations because they are never expected to make advances. If roles were reversed and women made advances, those advances would never be perceived as weird, dangerous, creepy, or threatening. I have never been kicked out or banned from a bar or gym, but I know stories of men who have experienced that. I have had women's friends or acquaintances confront me as I described, but never faced major consequences like being kicked out or legal trouble. Men get criticized for honest mistakes in social situations when they are just unaware that their behavior was wrong. Women can get away with grace in similar situations and avoid awkwardness, as I already stated. Yet, people still believe that men have it better than women do, even when it comes to dating. Story 54. It does not really matter if I am feeling lonely. I am poor, so there is no reason why I should try to date until financial conditions improve. Story 55. Escorts in foreign countries often feel lonely between each trip. It also motivates me and helps me push through work like an incentive. Story 56. I mean, I am married now, so it is a moot point, but I stopped caring in my mid-20s, and honestly, the less I cared, the more I would get approached. Focus on yourself, and good times will come. Both men and women can literally sense insecurity. Story 57. I work out, listen to music, eat good food, bask in the peace and quiet, and enjoy what else life has to offer. It would be nice to have a partner to experience things with, but it is best not to worry about it and keep working hard. Story 58. Men not approaching women is something that hopefully will become more common. It is not only inevitable but also strongly encouraged by the times. Story 59. I've always met people for dating through friends or friends of friends. That has always been more than enough. Those friends came from approaching people. People are probably more open to making friends with a stranger than going on a date because we are less picky about friends than partners. You do not need to meet a partner to avoid feeling lonely. That is what friends are for. If your partner is the only thing between you and loneliness, then if that relationship fails, you will be in a very difficult place. Story 60. I have a general fear of failure and embarrassment, coupled with internalizing the idea that women hate being approached. So the only women I have ever gone on dates with had to signal interest in me first. That has happened 4 times in my life, so I have gone on 4 first dates. 3 of them never led to a second date after the women lost interest. 1 became my first and only girlfriend for 6 years. That is the sum total of my dating life. I am very lonely, but I understand why. I have no friends, no social life, no real hobbies, and I am overweight. I am not exactly an attractive option. Story 61. At the moment, I am focused on law school admission test preparation and going to the gym. I hope to meet someone in school, which is basically the only reason I am going. I have a great family and friend support system around me, so I do not necessarily feel the immediate need to start a relationship right now. Story 62. As much as I would like to be able to approach a woman, there are other things to do. Being single does not mean you are lonely. Story 63. I am married with children, and I feel very lonely. I do not have friends because I do not have time. I feel much better when I am alone. Story 64. In India, I have realized that I do not really know what I want, as most people are not my type. Being attracted to looks has wasted so much time and energy. There are many ways makeup can enhance your appearance, so it should not be a priority. It is an organic process and will take time. Trying too hard only shows desperation, which never really works. It works only when both parties benefit. Story 65. I was approached by my current and only girlfriend. We met through an online friend group after moving near each other. Before that, I did not approach women, nor did I meet many in my daily life. I was trying to be okay with being single mentally, but I still felt extremely lonely. It is hard, and I understand both you and the men and women commenting here. Story 66. Hearing firsthand from my female friends exactly what they think is creepy and how a man approaching them whom they don't find attractive ruins their day, makes them anxious, and causes them to dislike that man for being such a creep. However, if the man is attractive, they start the game and feel disappointed and ugly if he doesn't pursue them enough. Then they cry and drink for the rest of the night. My female friends range from bimbos to warthogs, and both still act similarly. Yes, approaching women is not worth it anymore, especially after the Me Too movement. Women are simply not clearly available except in online dating. Everything else is a huge coin toss on whether you will be deemed a monster or not. I do think a lot of this could be fixed if women approached men more. Sure, most women don't find that fun because it makes them feel less desired and more desperate, but in nature, the female picks the male. I don't know why we are so different. Courting is part of it, but it would work better for humans if women went, "I choose you, now show what you're made of." At least this would eliminate the whole game of only wanting to be approached by attractive men. Here's a secret though, they are taken 100% of the time. Hence, they never approach you. You can test this yourself. Story 67. I have friends, but I am also very accustomed to being alone. I do what I want when I want and nobody else has a stake. No children, no pets, no plants, and I work remotely so I can travel on a whim. There is usually something going on or someone new to meet and talk to in a new town or city. I talk to people on a friendly level, but the chances of me talking to a woman with romantic intention are very small. I am not dead over here, but it has been my experience that the effort is absolutely not worth it. Besides, I am kind of undateable right now. Story 68. I have been alone for almost 4 years now. My wife of 24 years died from COVID-19 complications. I don't talk to women because I don't know how to start a conversation. Yes, I want companionship, but I am almost afraid to try. I know she would not want me feeling alone, but part of me feels bad about trying to start over. I have a heavy guilt that I can't shrug off. I caught coronavirus and brought it home. She got sick. In the end, I signed the paperwork to have her removed from life support. Her words hang heavy in my head. Great. You're sick and you can't keep your hands to yourself. Now I am going to get sick. A week later, she was taken to the hospital and was unresponsive. I am a very touchy-feely person. I was always touching and kissing her. I loved her so much. If there are any widowers here who can give me guidance on how to start over, it would be welcome. Please, I don't need a bunch of condolences, but if you do offer them, I thank you right now. Thank you all. I love you all. Story 69. Unfortunately, I do not have an encouraging answer for you. I was married, she cheated, we divorced, and there was a nasty custody battle. 2 of the 5 relationships I had over the next 10 years were extremely high maintenance and self-centered. I am a tall, skinny man who is used to taking what he can get, within reason. I also worked a minimum of 60 hours a week to make ends meet. Eventually, I decided it was not worth pursuing relationships, and I was too damaged to be good for anyone if I did. I gave up dating 14 years ago. I am 57 years old. I have learned to be content but cannot say I am never lonely. It is simply less stressful to be alone. It is a trade-off and a choice. Story 70. Once you realize how lonely the wrong person can truly make you feel, being alone on your own seems like a reasonable and acceptable compromise. Story 71. Because it has been the norm for me, to say the least. Personally, growing up, I had to get used to being alone. My father was not present in my life, my mother worked long hours and did not have time for me, and my older brother was often outside. So, being by myself became normal. Also, considering how dating and relationships are, I am scared to even think I have a chance with anyone. Story 72. I will never approach women. I have been humiliated on several occasions. Once, I approached a woman innocently, and she tried to make me look like a criminal assaulter. After that, I realized it is better to be lonely than to try to tell a woman her purse is on her roof before she drives off, only to have her scream for help loudly in a mall parking lot. Even worse, when people tried to explain that I was just helping her, she insisted that I was trying to grab her. I am 5 feet 6 inches and 120 pounds. Not my style. Honestly, women have done this to themselves. They talk about power dynamics but seem to relish the ability to ruin men when approached, even when the intent is innocent or friendly. My wife actually approached me initially, and it took a month for me to get near her. She finally asked if I was gay, and I said no, I just do not do anything unless explicitly told. Story 73. I'm fine being single. That's what I'm saying, right? They are lonely. Didn't you know there is a significant number of lonely men out there? If you touch the stove, you will get burned, and if you are by yourself, you will probably get lonely. Story 74. I have plenty of tasks to complete. I also have a couple of friends with benefits. After spending more than 25 years in relationships, it has become clear that I should not be in one. Story 75. I am just tired of this whole dating thing. I'm not gonna lie. It's starting to feel like it's draining me no matter what approach I take. I have tried the whole just be yourself and be honest approach, then don't give or say too much, and forget this, I'm just gonna focus on myself, to, you know what, let me just approach her and talk to her. The end result of each has been mixed. Sometimes it works but goes nowhere mutually, sometimes it goes nowhere at all, and sometimes it starts off great, but then they act differently out of nowhere or just ghost me. You can start asking yourself, am I on a don't date list or something out there that I don't know about? Story 76. Does loneliness go away just because you approach women? It does not matter if you approach or not if they end up ignoring or ghosting you. A year ago, it would have been unthinkable for me to stop making any effort to meet women. But at some point, it becomes clear that approaching or not, being on dating apps or not is not going to change anything. After a girl I went on 6 dates with ghosted me 6 months ago, I have not made any effort to meet women. I have been feeling better than I have in a long time, and I also stay busy with other personal goals. If a girl seems interested in person and I am also interested, I will talk to her. Story 77. I do not approach women because I lack confidence, so I do not meet women. I feel lonely. Online dating does not work. I have no friends and I am not fine being single, but after almost 20 years, I am used to it. Story 78. It is like asking me why I use a tap instead of getting my water from a well. Applications make meeting women slightly less difficult than deciding what I want from Uber Eats. Story 79. I'm lonely but not enough to overcome the nerves of cold approaching somebody in public. I am confident in my looks but not in my ability to make small talk with a stranger. I've been looking for a good moment to say something worthwhile to an attractive woman, but I haven't found one yet. Luckily, I have been approached by women before, and I feel like that's how it will have to happen if it ever does. Hinge is nice if you pay for it, but I also dread small talk there and over text in general, so I usually end up leaving any cute women I find on Reed. It doesn't provide much practice, and it's rather exhausting. Story 80. I still feel lonely, at least I do. Since this world is sometimes cruel, dark, and cold, I just deal with the loneliness. Gym, video games, friends, my dream physique, all of that helps me get through it, even though it still hurts being so alone. Story 81. I felt lonely for years. Something I deal with. I don't approach people because I'm shy and socially awkward. I get decent matches on Bumble, but even that is a bit too daunting for me. The developers nerfed me to the ground. Story 82. I meet women on dating applications instead. Then I feel sure of the intent and outcome and understand the plan. I do not feel like taking risks in public unless I am approached first. Story 83. I feel very lonely. I do not even have male friends that I see or talk to regularly. I have been told that women do not want to be approached repeatedly throughout my life, so I am just listening to what they want. You have made your bed. Now it is time to lie in it. So chase me and maybe I will entertain it. Until then, I am relaxing. Story 84. I just don't approach women in general. Don't get me wrong. I would like to have a girlfriend, but many things have ruined dating for me. I would rather be single and work on myself before I start dating again. Story 85. I try to focus on my filmmaking goals in life, helping my family, and enjoying watching movies in the theater every weekend. Staying focused on other things helps me when feelings of loneliness arise. Story 86. Yes, I feel lonely all the time, but it is unfortunately more comfortable and familiar than the anxiety I feel when I try to talk to women who do not seem like they want to be approached. If I do not get the vibe or indication that they are interested, I just feel like a creep. Story 87. Bars, social events, mutual friend groups, these work every time. I am a 35-year-old male and have dated more people in their 20s in the last 2 years than I ever did in my 20s. This is not a boast. It's just the way you have to do it. Get out there. Someone is always in your same situation, worried about the same things you are, but they show up anyway. Story 88. I'm lonely, but what should I do? Approaching or talking to people is terrifying. Once, a woman walked toward me, and my mind was like, "Woman, you're way too close." Story 89. These days, most people are meeting online and then offline. This is a lot easier than approaching women offline. I guess the art of approaching offline will be lost in men. Story 90. I don't approach because I don't have the time or money to try something. Who said I deal with loneliness? It eats away at me just like my job does. Story 91. The types of women I would have approached are usually those who marry young and stay married. I have approached one woman in my entire life out of loneliness in my mid-20s. It wasn't worth it. I had much better relationships afterward with women who approached me. I don't feel lonely unless I am sitting still, so I try not to do that. Story 92. I have a good core group of friends and strong relationships with my colleagues. To most people, I am a fun person to be around, I believe. I don't feel lonely because I have people to talk to and do activities with. I am lucky in that way, and not everyone has that. Humans are social creatures, and ultimately, not everyone can avoid loneliness without a good social structure around them. It also helps that I genuinely do not want a relationship right now. So it does not really cross my mind that I should be lonely because I do not have a girlfriend. Story 93. Because I am a remote worker living in another country with a foreign girlfriend, I could never imagine trying to date in the United States again. Story 94. I'm not meeting women. After 13 years of marriage and 7 years of divorce, I am still happy to be single and plan to remain that way for the rest of my life. I am a single parent to 2 late teenagers. I share an apartment with my elderly brother, who is over 60, so I do not feel lonely at all. Story 95. You can never be lonely just because you are not with a woman and are with your own thoughts. I am consciousness like everything else, so I am never alone. Story 96. I feel lonely all the time, especially when everyone around me is in a stable and happy relationship, engaged, or married. I tried to approach women and met someone through friends and online dating. None of these relationships worked out, for to be exact. Everyone describes me as smart, sweet, and kind, and they tell me to wait. The right person will come. But after seeing selfish people having new girlfriends every 2 weeks while I have been single for almost 4 years, I have given up and stopped expecting to be loved. Yes, I am very lonely, but at least I am peaceful. Story 97. Set the bar too high. A few people did pass the bar. I guess I'll just go to the bar now to study for the bar exam. Story 98. I do not approach women. I do not use dating applications. I do not meet them through friends. I feel lonely. I am not okay being single. Story 99. I do not approach them and I am lonely. It is hard to do when you are over 30 and do not have any third places to socialize. Story 100. I approach women sometimes. When I meet women, I check out after a couple of minutes. This happens when meeting anyone. I become restless. I am fine being single. Sometimes I do get lonely, so I approach women. Then the cycle continues. I am not sure what that is. I think I like the idea of being with someone, but when it becomes a possibility, I change my mind. I find it best not to go past a first or second date because it would not be fair to her. I do not want to string her along. Story 101. I don't meet women in any romantic or sexual context ever, and I never have. I do feel lonely, but it doesn't matter. I don't seek to bother people. Being single is the moral path. I'm not going to bother a woman with my average self, acting like I somehow deserve her romantic attention. I don't think people should settle, and I intend to not allow any woman to make that mistake if I can help it. Sure, she might be happy with me, but to what extent? Is she truly happy because of me, or simply because of what I represent, a tangible relationship? It's possible that she can't yet see the difference between the two. I have no plans to lead people on or pretend that I'm better than I am. No, I make it clear the kind of person I am, And I think that the vast majority of people, when they truly get to know me, would look at me and say, I can do better than this. I am far from the worst, but mediocrity is not something worth celebrating. People don't spend years trying to find a 4 out of 10. Besides, I would probably just end up making her life more dull, so it's just not worth it. In summary, it's for her happiness. Story 102. I have a girlfriend and many good friends. What is the opposite of lonely when you wish your friends would give you a break? Story 103. I talk to plenty of women. I just don't need to make some sort of approach to do that. I spend time in social settings where women are present, and I end up talking with some of them casually. It is not something I put any real effort or thought into creating. It just happens. And yes, I recognize that this is not the experience many other men have. Story 104. I am lonely, but it is easier to be content being lonely than to continue dealing with constant rejection, ghosting, being used, and the emotional frustrations of getting a shred of hope followed by inevitable failure. I am tired. Story 105. I used to do the online thing. I guess you could say that I am still open to it, but I am far more passive than I once was. I have pangs of loneliness sometimes and think that it would be nice to form more connections. But I have also been taken advantage of, ignored, or a combination of the two, a lot. Between that, being aromantic, and being used to solitude throughout most of my life, I am good, thanks. Story 106. I don't know why I would ever feel lonely. I'm around people almost the entire day. I'm actually kind of happy when I finally have time to be alone and relax. Also, I have friends, so if I feel like talking to someone, I just go hang out with them, either in real life, maybe with a beer, or on Discord. And then there is also my family. I genuinely like being alone. I don't think it was like that when I was younger, but it is now. I like being single. I feel like my last relationships kind of made me lose time for a lot of things I love. Right now, I'm happier than I ever was during a relationship. Story 107. I was single for the last 5 years. I stumbled into a couple of friends with benefits situations over the years, but I wasn't looking for anything. I recently met someone, well, kind of knew her from the bar I have been going to for the last couple of years. In January, we started a friends with benefits scenario, and sometime in February we became a little more serious. By March, we were officially boyfriend and girlfriend. I got a new phone, and during the setup process, it came to light that she had a sex tape. She offered to delete it, but never did. I brought it up yesterday, and she said she would check to make sure she deleted it, but she didn't. I gave her 24 hours after already giving her weeks prior to see if she deleted it like she told me she would. This turned into a relationship-ending argument. I also just found out that she had been sleeping with no fewer than 5 other people at the same time leading up to possibly when we became official a month ago. I'm not sure if anybody else has been with her since then, but up until that point there were 5 of us. Between the lies and the general unfaithful behavior, I am actually glad I'm single and will probably be single again for the next 5 years because this is not working. Story 108. Fear of rejection is the biggest thing for me, and that is solely because I am used to being rejected. There is a really cute woman who works on the same floor as me, but in a different department. She has a very nice smile and seems like a genuinely kind person. I would like to ask her out, but the fear of rejection grips me. Overall, I would love to have a girlfriend or wife, as it would be nice to have someone who cares about me outside of friends and family. Someday that will happen, but who knows? At 32, dating gets harder as time passes. Story 109. I am not meeting women, and I am also not approaching them because I mostly feel numb and tired. I do not know how anyone has the energy to approach others. Story 110. I do not approach women. I kind of just do my own thing. I can enjoy my own company, and I do not necessarily need someone around me to find something to distract myself with. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.